Hi, so I found it quite tricky to explain this all by email. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put together a little PowerPoint in which I show how I do this with another question. So my question here for two petal paragraphs is going to be, how is the theme of guilt shown in Macbeth? And that's a typical theme question. You could think about ambition, you could think about the role of women, you could think about superstition. All of these are pretty normal theme questions, and we should be perfectly capable of writing petal paragraphs answering these theme questions. And the way these questions always work is your answer should include this extract, and you'll be given a little bit of an extract. You can see that extract below, and any other part of the play which helps support your answer. So your two petal paragraphs aren't just going to be about the extract, they're going to be linking the extract to other places. Now I've taken this extract from Act 2, Scene 2, and this is after Macbeth has murdered Duncan in Act 2, Scene 1, and it's about, let's have a look, line 24, line 25 maybe, of Act 2, Scene 2. And so I've given a little précis, you'll get one at the top, a little shortened explanation as to what's happening in this extract and where it comes from. So after murdering Duncan, Macbeth returns from the bedchamber shaken and claiming that he's unable to pray. And remember, we're being asked about the theme of guilt. So, Macbeth. One cried, God bless us, and amen the other, as they had seen me with these hangman's hands. Listening their fear, I could not say amen when they did say God bless us. Lady Macbeth replies, consider it not so deeply. Macbeth replies, but wherefore, and remember wherefore means why, it doesn't mean where, why could I not pronounce amen? I had most need of blessing, and amen stuck in my throat. Lady Macbeth gives, these deeds must not be thought after these ways, so it will make us mad. Now, two petal paragraphs on the theme of guilt. So, I've laid this out as individual lines because I don't know how to get a full paragraph to animate correctly, but obviously that you wouldn't be putting these on separate lines, you'd be putting them together in a paragraph. So our point, how is the theme of Macbeth of guilt shown in Macbeth? So in Act 2, Scene 2, Shakespeare presents guilt as an all-consuming emotion which damages the guilty person's relationship with God. Now that's quite a high-level point sentence. I haven't just said that he presents guilt in Act 2, Scene 2. I've also tried to say something about it. I've said it's all-consuming. Guilt takes you over and it damages that person's relationship with God, and there's a huge bit of evidence in that extract. But first off, I need to explain my evidence. So when the drug guards pray in their sleep, Macbeth attempts to join them, but he could not say amen when they did say God bless us. I've put two short embedded quotations in there. I don't need to put this is seen in the quote by and then put a huge quote. I can just explain the quote and I can embed the quotations in them. So, our technique. Our technique here is repetition. Could not say amen because we see repetition all the way through this little extract. I've highlighted one technique, but we could think of some more. We could talk about the imagery, the religious imagery, the religious symbolism, but I'm just going to use repetition because it's an easy one. So Macbeth repeats the words amen 4 times in this short extract, which indicates, okay, my technique is repetition. What does it indicate? This is where my analysis needs to come in. So it indicates his fixation. He's been completely fixed on his inability to pray alongside the guards. By committing an act of regicide, and if you remember, regicide means killing a king, Macbeth has effectively attacked God and so found himself unable to connect with God. Now that's a really good bit of analysis there, but I need some kind of link, and I'm going to link it to context. Why is regicide attacking God? Well, for a Jacobean audience, Regicide was an extremely serious crime, as rightful kings were believed to be appointed by God to rule. So there I've linked back to context. And remember, when we link, we can link to social and historical context. So we can talk about the Jacobean era. We can talk about Shakespeare's relationship with King James. We can talk about the work of King James. We can talk about the things that Jacobean audiences believed in about witchcraft, but we can also link to the rest of the play. I'm going to do that in my next paragraph. So, for my next PETAL paragraph, I'm still focusing heavily on that extract, but I'm moving out a bit. So this extract and the play as a whole also shows the psychological impact of guilt. That's the impact of on your mind of guilt. So Lady Macbeth says, these deeds must not be thought and it will make us mad. There we've got our evidence. And those lines foreshadowing is our technique, of course, Lady Macbeth's later inability to escape from the guilt of herself and her husband, as her conscience drives her to insanity and eventual suicide in Act 5. Now, we've seen her conscience earlier on in that scene, at the very start of Act 2, Scene 2, she says that, and this is lines 11 and 12, Harker had laid their daggers ready, he could not miss them. Had he not resembled my father as he'd slept, I would have done it. And Lady Macbeth there is talking about Duncan looking like her father, which is why she can't kill him. So we see that Lady Macbeth actually does have a conscience there, and her conscience is going to drive her to insanity. So that's my analysis for those two brief lines. The idea of consequences for our action, this is our link, being inescapable, is key to Shakespeare's message in Macbeth, and is seen in the line in Act 3, Scene 4, blood will have blood. I just picked up out that quote because I quite like it. It's a quote that I think of a lot when I'm thinking of Macbeth, but you could use any other quote from any other scene that furthers your point, and your point is about the psychological impact of guilt as a whole, or in this case the idea of guilt as being inescapable. Remember, when Macbeth is saying blood will have blood, he's talking about this idea that he can't actually escape from Banquo's ghost, and we can think of Banquo's ghost as being the psychological impression of Macbeth's murders. So I hope that's helped you write a couple of PETAL paragraphs, but if it hasn't, please stay in touch and I will continue trying to do my best to explain sort of what it is that an answer at mastering and an answer for a student looking for a 7, 8 or 9 in GCSE would look like. Thank you very much. Let's end.